Joy, and welcome to my studio. We're going to have lots of fun with our project today. Let's get started. So for this project we're going to be using caulking, and I'm using Dab, the Alex Plus. You want to make sure this is white. And I pick mine up at Walmart. This is under $2 usually, and how I know it, because some of those get so mixed in, the last numbers are 101, so that is what I use. I also use an easy caulking gun. This makes it so much easier to use and to load over the other ones. I also use a frosting tip cover. This is kind of a newer thing. I purchased that at Hobby Lobby, and I can put that on the end and save it. And also my clippers. I just clip the ends off of the caulking with that, and then that makes it really easy to do, and we're ready to go. We're going to start with our frosting bag, and today I'm going to use a rose petal tip. I'm using the 104. You can use the 102, the 103, the 104, depending on what size of daisy you want to make. So the smaller ones just adjust accordingly. And I'm going to use an adapter. You could put your tip straight in if you wanted to. I do worry about them squishing out, but also I can change the tip. If you do that, you can't change the tip. You're stuck with what you have. So I always find myself wanting to do something else with it. So that's the reason that I use the adapters. And we're just going to load, because our daisies are white, and this is white. We're going to load it right into our bag. So I'm going to simply take this and shove this all the way in here and just load that right in there. I do about half of my caulking gun, and I can tell by how far the handle is out. You never want more than you can't comfortably hold in your hand. So I don't do a lot. And then we put that tip right back on, and that keeps that nice and fresh. I use parchment paper or wax paper. I cut it in little squares, and that's what we're going to put our daisy on. So go online and Google flower transfer patterns. If you want to, you can even just draw a circle, especially if you have the Miriam Joy craft templates, and divide that off. This just keeps you in line. I didn't do them at first, and my flowers were kind of all over the place. They have the smaller sizes as well as the bigger sizes, and then I laminated them. But you can do whatever you want to make that work, and if you want to do it freehand, you can. I take my flower nail and some double-sided tape and put that on the top of there, and stick that on there, and then one more time. Need a little bit more here. And then one more time, just enough on the top one that it sticks your wax paper, your parchment paper on, but you can easily lift it off. You don't want it sliding all over the place. So we're going to take our bags, and I use the cheapest bags I can find unless I'm doing something with a lot of pressure, like a flower, rose or something like that. I use the cheaper bags because they're easy to push down and squish the caulking down. Now we want the bottom part down, and we're going to push that till it stops to go. So excuse me, bottom part up. And you pick either in between the lines or on the lines. And we're going to push and pull. Push and pull. We want the petals touching so that they don't fall apart, but we don't want them so close that you're losing the shape of the petal. And we're just going to follow that all the way around. The more you push that, the bigger and fatter the petal will get. I need to clean my tip off there. And the thinner you'd want the petal, the less you would kind of push that. So that is kind of the reasoning behind that. And then we're going to let and set those and let those dry. You want to completely let them dry pretty good before we add our centers, because they will bleed otherwise. So we're going to do this one more time. A push and a pull into that center. A push and a pull. Push and a pull. And as you can see, I'm not quite following the spaces. If you want bigger flowers, go outside that circle. You want smaller flowers, you can go inside. Use a smaller tip depending on the project we're working on. I know this seems like a lot of work, but there's so many things if you do a batch that you can use this for, and then you'll just have them and just throw things together really fast. So we're going to let our daisies dry for a couple of hours at least. You can do them while they're a little bit wet. Put the yellow centers on and then continue to let them dry at least overnight for the last layer. So we're going to put our yellow on, and we can decide what color of food coloring we want. We've got yellow, lemon yellow, and buttercup yellow. And those the lemon yellow is really bright. I'm not going to do a lot here, depending on how much of a batch you're doing. And the buttercup yellow is a darker, deeper yellow. So I usually use the buttercup, but I kind of like the brightness of the yellow. So I think I'm going to use that one. This is a little bit more gelatin because it's dried out. It shouldn't be that jelly-like, but it still works. So I'm just going to mix that really well. So I've mixed my yellow, I've put it into my frosting bag. I'm going to use a Star Tip 16. You can use anything you want in the center of the flowers. You could use one big star tip and squish it down. You can use a 10 round and do the way we're going to be doing it. There's all kinds of ways. That's totally up to you. So we're just going to simply put this on in the center and make sure that all of our petals are connecting. The reason I like the star tip is because I get texture and then I can add some microballs to it, and that holds them in place. But isn't that cuter? A lot of the times I'll even use a smaller star tip even than that. Or you can come in and you can do them individually, little guys like that. So there's so many ways you can do that center. Just make it your own and personalize it, and you may prefer one over the other. I jumped down to a size 14 star tip, and I'm going to try that. This one was just a little bit too tall for me, And we're going to, and I'm just pushing and squeezing. Now see how this guy's kind of one-sided, and I need him a little bit bigger on this side. So you always can start on the outside and work your way in if that is better for you. On that one, it probably would have been better. He's a real funny shape. So let's try that on this one. We're going to start on what we should be our outside shape. We just want to make sure we get all of our leaves. Keep your yellow touching. And finish that up in the center. And when we're do about 5 of them, and if you want to put the micro balls on, do so then. And I give them about an hour, and then I come back in and I push them down with my fingers. By giving them that hour, you're not squishing the caulking or frosting as much, but you're securing them to the daisy. Okay, go ahead and get all those done, and we're gonna paint them. For the daisies, I'm going to put some, we're going to use pearlescent pigment powder, and this is found in your scrapbooking section at your local craft store. If you need to order it online, Blue Whale Arts has them, and they're great to deal with. This is number 682. This is green yellow. I'm still not sure how this is green yellow, but okay. It looks more like a sky blue to me, but I love this color, especially with the daisies. I want that little bit of blue in my daisies. Every time I do my daisies, I do something different. So this is just one way of doing them. You may find you like something else. This is just a basic idea for you. I do a lot of times float acrylic color around the centers. I do have a video on how to float color. I've also used the yellow on the inside sometimes for the pigment powder on the inside of the yellow. You could use a brown. You can do all kinds of things. You can even splatter them when you're done. There's just endless ideas, so don't get stuck. I'm just showing you a basic. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find a smaller brush. I want one that I can get up under my crevices here, and I probably should get a new one. This is getting a little bit unruly here. I'm not sure which one's better, so I can kind of go up underneath the yellow, but we're going to dip into our powder and we're going to tap it off. If you go from here to here, you're going to end up with powder everywhere. So that's real important. Then a lot of times you can just go back to the lid instead of back in the jar every time. And then I like to put a little bit out on the leaves, maybe 2 or 3, just to reflect color, not a lot. And you could even brush that out a little bit if you wanted to. But this is a real fast way to do it. Instead of painting it, it goes very fast this way. And it is a lot of fun. And if you do a batch, there's just so many things we can use with this. So it's a lot of fun to make the daisies. Once everything has dried, we're going to go ahead and spray varnish it while it is still on our little wax paper squares. Everything except for the bees. You can use anything you want to. This helps keep the color, the glitter, the pigment powder, the mica powder, any of those items on and protected, and just really helps protect your color as well. So I use gloss. I know this one says matte, kind of covering it up there. I use gloss because to me gloss is the frosting look, but you could use whatever you like. I go to Walmart, I buy the least inexpensive. You've got Krylon, you've got Rust-Oleum, anything you want to. Do a couple of light layers, and once they're dry, peel them off of that wax paper. Don't leave those over a period of time. They'll get harder to take off. And then you're ready to use them. And you can also, after that, after they're dry really well, you can store them and have them ready to go for a fun project. I hope you had lots of fun and enjoyed that. If you ever have any questions, send us an email at art@miriamjoy.com. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our videos so we can continue to grow. God bless.